is, I now use my big mouth for something good, philanthropy. And you know, I think we were joking that it's a hard act to follow when you follow Amy Herman, but she has set the stage for, I think, what we were trying to do today. And that's stop thinking of what we do as being one specific thing. We are philanthropic planners, whether we are the charitable side, whether we are the service provider, whether we're the attorney, the CPA, we are philanthropic planners, and we have to remember that because we tend to get too compartmentalized and then we lose out on really bringing value to what the donor or the client is looking to accomplish. This whole program that I want to share with you today, a lot of it is stuff that we've already talked about right here in this room. But it came to me, I was at one of the national board meetings, and as a lot of you know, I am so laid back and so quiet and reserved. And this was actually the first national board meeting that I was allowed to speak at. When you first join the national board, you have to sit in your first meeting and you can say nothing. You have to just observe. And of course, you know, with me, that's like asking a German Shepherd not to get on the furniture, but I did my best. And we were spending probably close to an hour trying to determine, well, would this be something that a major gift planner would need, or would this be something that a fundraiser would need? And I finally raised my hand, and they actually called on me, and I said, for God's sake, it is all about philanthropy. What does it matter what your title is? We are here to accomplish the goal of a donor or a client or an organization. We shouldn't be worrying about, am I the major gift planner? You know what, folks? It does not matter if your donor is giving you $1,000, $100, or $100 million. To them, it's a gift. To them, it is something that they want you to know is important to them. See, I'm not used to a mic. When I get mics, I usually want to break into blue Hawaii. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, we need to think of every gift as a major gift. We need to think of every gift as a planned gift, whether it is a charitable split interest vehicle, or whether it's putting money into that all-familiar red kettle outside of the malls in the holidays. We know that kettle's going to be there, and we're probably going to plan on dropping some change in there as well. So let's get into some of this and figure out, okay, why are we even talking about it? Number one, we've all heard this 1.5 million times, so you're going to hear it 1,000,001. We have a more sophisticated donor today. Not because they're more read, not because they are better at the table serviceware than they used to be. The fact is they ask questions. They challenge us. This is something that should actually excite us because it makes us better planners. It's not cookie cutter. One size does not fit all. And it should be exciting to us to know that. To know that we have to think and really plan for every donor situation. And their expectations are getting larger and larger. We have seen this statistic. It fluctuates, it's true. But the fact of the matter is, we know that the majority of the American population is very generous. Think about it. Every time there is any kind of a crisis, whether it's here in the United States or anywhere in the world, the American public will rise to the challenge and they will contribute. Right? So the fact of the matter is, we know that we are very generous. But when we start to think about things like bequests or remembering organizations that are important to us, we tend to start to forget. And I think that's because we, the gift planning public, don't train our donors to think about us at all times. We're too focused on, is it a current gift? Is it a legacy gift? Is it this? Is it that? It's a gift, folks. For God's sake, it's all about philanthropy. So when we just remember that our donors are not walking checkbooks, but human beings who have goals, who have issues, like Amy said, observing them and knowing that there are family issues going on, whatever it might be, bringing that all into the discussions that we're having, the conversations that we're having, we are going to be much more successful. And does it really matter if what they accomplish is writing a check and handing it to you today, or setting something up that might be putting that check in your hands every year or in perpetuity? Do we honestly think that if we are the development officer and not Major Gift, that our CFO or CEO is going to get angry with us because we've now landed a gift that's going to last in perpetuity? I think not. Going on. This statistic is the one that scares me the most. And again, it fluctuates. It's the information, as Amy says, that we have to take to heart. 70% of American donors do not feel that charitable needs or intent will be served. That is why we have such a hard time in retaining that relationship and making sure that instead of just writing that $100 check every year, we need them to understand that there are other ways where the check could be written for them, like one of those split interest vehicles. But if they don't feel that we're always going to be there and we're going to meet their expectations, or we're going to make sure that the goal that they had in mind is going to be achieved or honored, it's not going to happen. These are the things that we need to focus on rather than, is our title what we think it should be? Or are they recognizing me as this and I really want to be doing that? Encompass all of it. Don't limit yourself. Don't think of, I just have to do this. Think of, I want to achieve this person or this family's goals. No offense to anyone in the media, but the fact of the matter is, it does affect what we do. Every time there is an issue in the nonprofit world, you do understand it has been happening in our shops as well. So that is something that we have to fight against. We have to reassure our donors that we know who they are, we know what they want to accomplish, and whatever is happening on the other side of the country or the other side of the world, that's there. I know who you are. I know who you are. I know what you want to accomplish, and we're going to work together. My big mantra this year, folks, philanthropy is a team sport. It came to me during the Olympics. And the fact of the matter is, it's true. When we're all working together, the legal community, the tax community, the financial community, as well as the nonprofit community, why would the donor hesitate? We can't all be wrong. We can't all be in on this. It has to be something that is a positive thing that would be very effective for them. Especially when you think about that team probably knows things about them that individually we wouldn't know. There are so many times in my career when I was helping a family set up something like a simple charitable remainder trust. And do you know what really motivated them? Concern. Concern about the organization, but there was also something going on in the family. I always joke about this, but you guys all know this is true. Someone will come in and when they really start to get to know you, because isn't what we do a relationship-oriented situation? Has anyone ever banged on your door and said, if you don't take this money for your mission right now, I don't think I can ever take another breath? No, they want to know who we are. They want to know what we're going to do. And they begin to share things. So the fact of the matter is, with one situation, this husband and wife walked in, beautifully dressed, manners galore. They were lovely people. Husband was sitting there, wife was very quiet, and they began to share some information about what was going on, why they wanted to do this kind of planning. And he said, you know, we want to do this, we want to do that, we need a little tax planning here, we'd like to diversify. All the things that if you're on the financial side, it's ringing bells and you're going, yeah, I'm going to meet my goal. But the other thing that came up, he said, we're a little concerned about our daughter. The only time the mother spoke through that whole meeting, at first I thought it was Harriet Nelson, she looked up and she said, she has totally messed up her life. Actually, she used another word, but we're in polite society, so I have to be. And then she went back and never said another word. And the husband just kind of looked like, yeah. Well, they were worried about her. She didn't know how to use money. She didn't date the right kind of people. To them, there was problems going on. And they were concerned that if they put a large inheritance in her hands, they didn't know what would happen. That's where, instead of focusing on, I need the gift today, or I need this, or I need that, we think about who it is we're sitting with. And it is all about philanthropy. And sometimes philanthropy isn't even about our charitable mission. If you were asleep, you're awake now. It's about people. The philanthropy going on there was figuring out how to make sure mom and dad knew their daughter was going to be okay, no matter what. So the charitable trust actually came to the rescue. They loved the idea, instead of an inheritance, she was going to get an income stream. Those are the things that if we stop focusing on just one aspect, or locking ourselves in, even if our title is A, there's no reason why we can't look at B and C. If it's going to bring some credibility and some goodwill to our organizations and some happiness to our donors, do you think it's going to be a problem? Going on, especially if I figure out the pointer. The economy, people were very worried, especially right here in Michigan. Political issues, oh my God. Do you ever feel today that either one of our political parties are thinking about us? No, not anymore. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever. I think we're all being ignored. So what happens is our donors get concerned and they stop thinking about things that are important to them, and they're more concerned about what's going on in Washington. Think about year end. Did any of our donors come to us and say, I just got to make sure that this gift gets in because I know you're going to need it for the beginning of the year? No. They were worried about, am I going to get my tax deduction? That's what we deal with, and that's why we can't focus on just one job description. We've got to be a team. We have to think outside of our job descriptions and focus on what it is we bring to society and why we are considered a nonprofit organization. And then we do what we have to do to make that mission a success. Whether it's a planned giving vehicle, a direct vehicle, or a combination of them all. That's when we know we're doing our jobs. Going on. Oh yeah, actually folks, that is a good point. We use these things as donors, and think about it. We're not just gift planners, we're donors too. We procrastinate because of all these things that are going on. Our jobs can help people stop procrastinating and accomplish the goals that they need, whether it is for our mission or personal things for themselves. So what do we do about this? Number one, our donors, those sophisticated people, are looking to us to not only know the ins and outs of our charitable mission, but they, honest to God, want to know how they can make an impact. Catherine Myrie, who is an incredible estate and charitable planning attorney in Birmingham, Alabama, said the days of donors who walk in and say, here's a check, it's an unrestricted gift, are, if not over, they are shortly going to be over, and I think they have been long over. And it's not so much that our donors want to control completely, but remember that first thing that we said, they're not quite sure that we understand their intent. We're not showing them that we're listening. So we're focusing too much on other things and not on the gift planning and how they can achieve it. They want to know, where can I make my impact? Question for you. A lot of you have sat down with me one-on-one for your own organizations. How many of you have the menu of opportunity that I harp about all the time? That taking your organization, if you're on the charitable side, taking your organization and breaking it into gifting opportunities. Not naming opportunities necessarily, but showing the various places that a donor can have an impact on your mission. Do any of you have that? Thank you. God bless you. It is so important because what you're actually doing is saying to the donor, I do my homework. I know where money can go, where it can have an impact, and it isn't just a wish list, folks. This is things that really a donor could point to and show their family, we're helping to make that happen. It might be just pointing at your building, but to them, they're part of your family now, and family takes care of family. And see, the other reason why this is so important is we are all now being charged with the responsibility of teaching the next generations their morals, their values, and their beliefs. And we can't do that if we can't really show a menu of opportunity and how we're making their family a part of our mission. So think about that. Think about what your organization does, what you accomplish, and how a donor can begin to weave their goals into your menu. We're a consumer nation, folks. Think about it. Even when the holidays are over, are the mall parking lots absolutely empty? We love to purchase. We need to now, as the gift planning community, tap into that consumer feeling and help them feel that they can purchase their charitable goals. It makes a big impact. Okay, they need to know they're working with the correct person. And I'm not necessarily talking about title. They need to know that they know you, that you're their friend. You're part of their family now too. This is where the relationship part of it comes into it. This is where we build that kind of bond where when we need to go to them and say, our organization needs to do this particular program, can you help me? That's where all of this comes to fruition. You have demonstrated that you are someone that knows and respects them. Be that person, folks. Don't worry about, is my title vice president? Is my title major gifts? Should I be even talking to this donor? If you're the person they connect with, stay the person they connect with. Help them help you. Going on. I said this at the very beginning, and I really believe this. How do we make every donor feel like a major donor and every gift feel planned? Going back to the menu of opportunity, if you're showing them how they can be part of a mission, even if it's just what we might think is a smaller gift, it's major to them, and you just showed them that. You've shown them how they can be a part of that particular mission that represents who they are, what they believe in, and why they are now a part of your organization. That's how you do it. The relationship. That's something that, with all due respect, you cannot get online. Going on. We do need to place a stronger emphasis on education. Today's a great example. We've had some incredible sessions where maybe there's information that we've already heard, maybe we've heard it in a different perspective, maybe we're in remind me not to do that, okay? Maybe we're in a different place, and what was said now has a different meaning to us. So education from our own perspective, but getting that information out to our donors. Educating our boards, our committees, our key volunteers, the legal community, the tax community. We're not teaching them their jobs on drafting or the tax code, but we can teach them how our organizations and what we do fit into what they're trying to accomplish with their own clients. There's a big difference in how we educate and how we share information. Look for options how donors can become part of your family. The people that just write a check could really be doing more. But if we don't ask them, if we don't show them, if we don't make them feel that they're really a major part of our organization, then it's going to continue to be that one check that shows up once in a while. Also, folks, from that educational standpoint and the options of what our donors can do, this really can help you keep from receiving a gift from the estate that you never knew was going to happen. In my humble opinion, that is the saddest story that can happen. Yes, your mission just received a large gift, and that's great, and you are going to be able to use that money effectively with your mission. But what did we miss out on? We lost the opportunity to say thanks to our donor. That's critical. They're not a checkbook. They're human beings. We lost the opportunity to sit down with them and say, this is very generous. What do you want to see happen? Pulling out that menu of opportunity and saying, look what we can do with this. What looks good to you? What really represents who you are? And you know what else we lost out on? We lost out on the opportunity to build a friendship with the next generation of their family. You go to their family now that your donor has passed on, and the message is, well, mom and dad are dead, so now they're coming after my checkbook, right? Whereas if we're working with the donor and their family and building the friendships and the relationship, the bridge is there. Mom and dad are happy because you're helping them translate their morals, values, and beliefs onto that next generation and why they think our organizations are so important. Next generation is learning more about you, and maybe they might branch off into other areas, but they're not going to forget you because you were important to mom and dad. And most of all, you should not necessarily get a surprise gift. You should really always know that that gift is coming on. If we think of ourselves as gift planners and not just a fundraiser or a development officer or major gifts, but really think of ourselves as gift planners, I think we have enough open-mindedness to really get out there and start those communications that are needed to find out that information. And your educational components can be the thing that starts. A lot of times I'll sit down to do a seminar about a gift annuity. And the development people will come up to me and say, you know, this is so great because Mrs. Smith was saying, well, this gift annuity sounds great, but I already have you in my will. Did you know that? If you didn't know it, you just learned very important information. Number one, you know there's a legacy gift coming in, so you can start to shepherd it. Number two, you know that Mrs. Smith believes in you enough that she's put you in your will. That's a very strong compliment to you personally and to your organization. Now we also have information that maybe we should talk more to Mrs. Smith about picking that up a notch. Maybe going from an estate tax deduction to a current tax deduction. Maybe finding out more about Mrs. Smith and what's going on to where a little diversification in her portfolio could make life much more comfortable for her. Maybe finding out that her daughter married that guy and nobody likes him and nobody wants to like him, and so they don't want to leave that guy any of their money. Well, that's where philanthropy can come to the rescue too. So, build and reinforce your plain giving infrastructure, people, because it does a lot of things. It starts communication that we need to have. It also gives us opportunities with our donor, broadens their perspective, and instead of them having great excuses for saying no, we give them opportunities to think about it and find other options. Something that really does address other issues that are stopping them from doing what they really feel they should do. So let's look at these gifts that we already know about and see from the perspective now as gift planners and not just what our title says on our business card, how they can come to our rescue. Number one, the good old-fashioned bequest under the will. Remember, folks, we don't do estate planning any longer, and every financial planner and attorney in the room will agree with me. We don't do it. It's not politically correct. Now we do wealth transfer. We transfer our wealth for a lot of reasons, and we do it this way so we don't have to admit we're going to die. And it puts a much better perspective, and as long as it accomplishes something very productive for both our donor or client, I don't care if we call it Bob. But moving on. So we start here. We find out about it from maybe one of the seminars. This is an opportunity for us to, number one, maybe get a copy of the provision. You don't need the entire estate plan. Maybe it's just doing a simple gift agreement or a written acknowledgement that you're in their estate plan. The attorneys don't always want that estate plan in someone else's file cabinet, and I can't blame them. They're a lot of hard work, and plus our clients do change their minds. Amy Hermit has given us permission to change our minds whenever we want. So the fact of the matter is, exercising that, things could change. But if our donor has put something in writing like, by the way, see my attorney, I left you in my will. You have something, it's a tickler, it reminds you. Okay? That's all it has to be, that's simple. Also, it's beginning to make a list of people who you now know are leaving things like this, and you can begin to drip on them about other things. Like, you could set up a charitable gift annuity, a charitable remainder trust. Maybe you would like to see something that's more endowed, so how about a donor fund? The fact of the matter is you can begin to talk to them about different options and opportunities that they can utilize. Maybe they won't, but at least you're acknowledging that they have a lot more to talk about and a lot more to offer, and they have options. They're not locked into one giving style. An unrestricted gift to the endowment, it is a blessing in any time, but the fact of the matter is they're becoming less frequent, right? So the fact of the matter is, don't be afraid of restricted gifts. Don't shy away. Sit right down with your donor. Roll up your sleeves, gift planner, and talk to them about what are their restrictions. Why are they restricting this? What do they want to see accomplished? Help them put the guidelines together on that gift. If you're helping them, folks, is it really so restricted? The other thing is, you may be able to share with them things that they didn't even know about that could make that gift even more fulfilling to them. It's communication. It's what we do as gift planners. And remember another thing I warned you about? Perpetuity is a long time. So remember to always put some alternate plan B and C in there, so that that gift is always a wonderful reflection on that family, okay? I bring that up because there's been so many times where a donor has come in and made a substantial gift, and we're all very thrilled about it, and our CFO will pat us on the back and tell us how wonderful we are that 5 minutes, and then 10 minutes later saying, so what else are you going to do for me? Another story. But if that gift comes in, and we have $1 million to go out and buy red balloons, how many red balloons do we need in a year? How often are we going to use them? And are we so restricted that we can't buy blue or green balloons when they're needed? Help your donors shape the gift, then it's not restricted. You've made them feel good, you know you feel good, and your mission is the better for it. Going on, whoops. Too many buttons for me. The private foundation or the donor fund. I'm going to skip those and go right into the last two because the fact of the matter is, I think these are the ones that we, as gift planners, deal with more. Charitable trusts are still going to be the backbone of our existence, folks. They really help people take assets that may not be producing for them, may not be what they want in their estate at the moment, and turn them into something very productive for them and for you. The only thing that I would ask you to do is remember the charitable trust, the charitable remainder trust, is going to be producing a new disposable income. Help folks think about what they can do with that. You could be doing things like wealth replacement for them, so that we're building that bridge to the next generation. Remember, if the kids or the grandkids look at us as the entity that we come up with alternatives like replacing what has been given away. Or maybe even using that wealth replacement trust to bring even more down to them. Are they going to be angry with us any longer? And don't you think our missions might be just as important to them now as it was to mom and dad? Another thing, remember that that disposable income is something that our donors can use for a lot of things, including current gifts to our mission.